Hello everyone. So there was a question recently on my service desk, and I thought I'll probably make a video on this topic because this is interesting. And the question was about the usage of behaviors in ScriptRunner for Jira versus using workflow validators. Now, using behavior, you can actually change the behavior, as the name suggests, of the uh, UI, or basically if you are trying to bring in some dynamic aspects to your form. For example, let us say the person who is raising a ticket or an issue in Jira, they will of course click on the button and they will fill up a form. And based on the selection, let us say they select a region, and if the region is India, then maybe you want to expose one more field, which will then ask them to specify something else, like second set of fields. So using behaviors, you can do these things, and behaviors work on the transition screens. The behaviors work on create issue screen. And these behaviors also work. So basically, when you add these behaviors, and when someone tries to person who has, let us say, the right to edit the issue, they can of course click on the fields, and the inline editing will be disabled, right? So this is great because you want to ensure that also when they are trying to edit the issue, you want to make sure that certain aspects of this behavior are still there. And one specific use case is that, let us say you want to capture certain fields for sure. Let us say you want that whenever someone creates an issue, they have to fill up a form with, of course, few fields, few mandatory fields. Now, some of those fields, or basically those fields, let us say, are something that you want to capture, and of course, you want to make them required, not using the field configuration, because if you do it using field configuration, then it will be required basically um, everywhere in the project. But maybe you want to make them required. I mean, you can definitely use field configuration, but especially when you are trying to improve, or when you're trying to implement a process, you may want to capture certain fields as required fields later on, not in the beginning. So that is one thing that you have to be aware of. But if you're using behaviors, so the way behaviors work, the behaviors is like adding a JavaScript, and behaviors work on the browser. So if let us say you have a behavior where you are trying to make a field required when someone creates an issue, that field won't be required when someone creates an issue using REST API, right? So that is the difference. Or maybe if the person disables the um, JavaScript JavaScript in their browser. So adding a validator or a scripted validator will, or making a field required using a validator, like let us say you click on the button, or maybe you transition the issue. So if you have a scripted validator or just a validator based on any app, the request will first go to the server. It will of course look for the value, and it will give you this output back and a message that yeah, this field has to be filled in. So that is like a proper solid way of doing it, because because irrespective of doing it from the browser or maybe using REST API, the field, if it is required during the transition, because validators are added on a transition, right? Then it will be required. But behaviors work only in the browser. But at the same time, I think there are cases where you definitely want to add behaviors, especially if you're trying to use Jira where you want to capture something from end user, and you want to make the form a bit more easy or intuitive, or you basically want to make it super simple for the end user to fill up a form and give you this information. Maybe it could be raising a ticket. In that case, I think if you're building the system for dummies, then behavior, because behaviors work on the browser, it will actually give you slightly better user experience, I guess, if maybe we can use this word. And I don't really think we have to add behaviors along with validators, because that would be, I mean, you can, I guess, it will still work, but I I would rather just use either behavior or validator. If you have to use validators, then maybe use validators later on in the process, but in the beginning, maybe use behavior. But I wanted to talk about when you should be using behavior and when you should be using validator. And hopefully I've given you some ideas and information. All right, that is it. That is all I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new. Thank you very much. Bye bye.